Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the BlueSitron podcast where we cover news, conversation, gist, topics on Africa, energy, women, culture, and more. And today we're going to be talking about the failed state situation, using Nigeria as a case study or case in point. And I've got two friends of mine that are joining me to have this conversation. And of course, we can cover beyond Nigeria. We're looking at Africa at large, but most importantly, as I said, the case study would be on Nigeria. This is a country that we know more about, given this is our root. So I've got PJ Said and Kola Kuponi joining me on this discussion today. Hi, PJ. Hi, Kola.
Good morning, Bim. Good morning, Kola.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, PJ. Good morning, Bim.
Great. Okay, guys, let's begin. So there's an issue. There's just an issue. If I want to
start, can say that again.
If I want to start with Nigeria, do we see Nigeria as a failed state? Is it getting there? And I have my reasons for saying this. A lot of people are moving abroad. A lot of people have always been moving abroad. Migration did not start today. It's started from beginning of time. People move about, and there's absolutely nothing wrong about that. However, when there's a country or a society that is not conducive for people, of course, people will move for economic reasons, for medical reasons, any reasons at all, literally. And when they find an environment that is more conducive and enables them to thrive, then they want to obviously stay in that environment. And does that mean these people, Nigeria again, case in point, are these people potentially losing their sense of identity, potentially losing their real, true roots? What do you think? Let me start with you, Kola. What's your view on this?
I think, first of all, I would say, yes, it is. It's not failed yet. I don't think we're at that point where we can say Nigeria's failed. Obviously, we're on a fast track to failing. If there's a fast track to failing, then we're certainly on that track. Now, as far as the migration, identity, we are. It's going to erode by virtue of relocating to different environments. You're going to lose a bit of your identity naturally, but there's still responsibility on the part of a lot of us that have migrated to hold on to bits and pieces that we can pass across to future generations. And who knows? This is just how life is. Things evolve. We are not our parents. Our parents are not our grandparents, and so forth. So as far as the loss of identity, I don't think there will be a total loss. Now, as far as language, you might find that eroding gradually. But it's just language is just one part of it. And you still have the fashion, the clothing, the food, the music, which is now very global, as we can see. So there's still, whilst we're losing some parts of ourselves, I believe we are evolving to greater heights, in other sectors as well. So yeah, I think those are my initial thoughts. Eager to hear what PJ has to say on that as well.
Yeah, PJ, what do you have to say? Because I've picked some things from what Kola, has actually, it's really important in terms of evolving. We're not our parents are not our grandparents. However, language, I'm very big on language. So we'll definitely talk about that. So hold that thoughts, Kola. PJ, what's your thoughts on that, please?
I hear what he said, and I partly agree with, especially with the start of where you asked if Nigeria was a failed state. It's not yet a failed state, but as Kola said, we are on fast track to failing. The numbers with which people are leaving is quite alarming at the moment. It's not. I don't think it's anything compared to what we've seen to when we moved here. Nigeria was still sort of, everyone was still okay with being in Nigeria, and the bulk of us that moved earlier on were still very, very happy to go back to Nigeria. Unfortunately, that is not the case at this point.
Right now, yeah.
Right now, people are leaving and people don't have plans to go back, And like Ola said, yes, we aren't our parents, but I think the generation of the people that are leaving now, they're slightly different to us.
Okay.
They have no plans on returning. And I think that's probably where our comments, our thoughts differ. They have no plans on returning. Yes, when we move with our culture, we move with what we know. But in order for you to integrate, in order for you to completely integrate into a new society, a little bit of what you knew or your culture is lost, sadly. We can do our best. We can try to, like Ola mentioned, the music has crossed over, and that's a great thing for the continent. But everything else, I feel, gets lost along the way. Speaking for me as a Yoruba girl, it's quite important, especially when you greet an elder, that as a girl you curtsy or you kneel, and as a boy you prostrate, you dobale, right? Now this is something as part of our culture that I've noticed hasn't necessarily moved over fully, and as time would go, it probably would just vanish.
Yeah, I think as far as that is concerned, I think, I do agree. Especially I'm Yoruba as well. And if I look at it through the lens of being Yoruba, I was born in the 70s, so I can tell the difference between what was obtainable then and what is going on right now. Like, I remember going to grandma's house and you have to be on full dobale, like your chest has to touch the ground. But by the time I was getting into my teenage years, the half bow or the quarter bow, now in fact, like, even if you want to go fully down, the elders no, that's too much now. So again, that's evolution. So now we have our kids that they look you dead in the eye. They look you dead, not even a little head nod or nothing. So I mean, it's still unacceptable in most households, even here in the UK. But I mean, this is part of the evolution. But the underlying theme of that is like submission and respect. So, that's how it was communicated back then, that, look, somebody that's older than you has seen more than you have seen. So when you're in their presence, you have to humble yourself. So we now have the responsibility to teach that humility, so our kids embrace that, because that is actually the fundamental bedrock of the culture. Speaking as a Yoruba, like, it's everything we do as Yoruba is built on respect of your elders, people that were here before you, that paved the way, for you to be able to, enjoy all these things that you're enjoying right now. So I mean, you can't be in the middle of the high street in, central London and see, and you now go full dobale. You can't now.
Saying that though, I just want to say, I just want to put it out there that, for me, that dobale thing and the kneeling thing was quite important. And I had made plans that whatever, sex of child I had, I was going to pass it down. And I would hope that they would pass it down as well. So if you see my boys in the middle of central London, they will dobale for you.
Chest down? Chest down?
Not chest down. I never taught them to chest down. And as Kola mentioned, that the dobale procedure has sort of evolved, because very rare. I think the only time anyone does chest down is if they want to go and marry. I don't actually see. I don't think I've actually seen anyone do the full chest down. But my kids, if they see you and they want to greet you, they will bow and they'll touch the floor.
And touch their.
Absolutely. We were at Notting Hill Carnival on Monday, and we bumped into a friend, and my boys saw her and they were like, "Oh, hi, auntie," and they went and I was like, "Oh my god, the floor is dirty." But auntie quickly grabbed them before they could get onto the floor, and she was like, "Oh, hi! Oh, you don't have to do that." I was like,
"That's impressive." That's
In my
interesting.
mind, I thought they kinda, and I like that now they do it without even being prompted. You know,
That's
if
good.
they see anyone older, they will automatically, oh, hi auntie, hi uncle, and they would,
They will
curtsy
do
and
that.
go
Yeah.
down. Yeah. It's not the
Excellent.
full one
Yeah.
because I'm a girl. I never taught them
Mhm,
to do the full one. And my
mhm.
husband, whenever he sees anyone older, he would do this. So they basically just copied him, you
Okay.
know. We did
Yeah.
explain the importance, and we'd let them know that, look, this is it's part of our culture. It's
Mhm,
how someone would identify, oh, Omo Yoruba Lele, that this is
mhm.
the child of someone from a
From
Yoruba
the Yoruba
lineage. And
land. Yeah.
yeah,
And
and
that's so important
sometimes I
too.
do feel a sense of pride.
Mhm.
However, I do worry that if when they do start having their children, if
Yeah.
they will understand it enough to pass on.
I see. So I see what you guys are saying. And yeah, let me start with the alarming numbers of people leaving the country. PJ, you mentioned something about the people leaving now don't want to come back.
Hmm.
Um, I think you're right. I shouldn't say I think you're right. You are right because I actually witnessed a friend of mine and her family came to see me, and her husband mentioned it categorically to say this is going to be home now, and Nigeria is going to be just holiday home.
Hmm.
I didn't know what to say
Hmm.
because obviously I wouldn't say it's in my place to say anything because they've I mean, and they're comfortable. Don't get me wrong, they're
Hmm.
very, very, very comfortable
Hmm.
and they've had to move here to the UK because they wanted the so-called best for the kids in terms of education and all of that. And
Hmm.
that's another situation.
Yep.
Education in Nigeria used to be top tier. What is going on, kind of thing, and all of that. Anyway, so they moved over here. And even if you're going to have great education in Nigeria now, you have to literally kill all the cows or
Yep.
whatever,
Yep.
break arms, break legs to be able to, afford paying school fees for your children.
Hmm.
So he said
Hmm.
that, and I just thought, wow, this is another one bites the
Another
dust
one.
essentially. Do,
Another
do you
one.
understand?
Yep.
And it's listen, guys, I am in Dakar at the moment in Senegal,
Lovely.
and I came for a conference, and this is my second time in Dakar. First time I came for a wedding, my friend's wedding. At the time, so we all came from Oslo, came down to Dakar, and all of that. So now I came for a conference. And this time around, I've been busy, obviously. But just yesterday, I went out with one of my friends who's a Nigerian and actually lives here in Dakar, works here in Dakar.
Okay.
He's the head of a bank, and he covers the selected francophone regions. So we went out for drinks, and I was asking lots of questions, and it was giving me quite a lot of insight, showed me a few things on YouTube about different places in Senegal outside of Dakar. Already, I love Dakar. Why is that?
Mm.
It's just, I mean, my boss also came down for this conference and he's only been to Nigeria. And he said to me, BM, I would like to tap into your contacts in the rest of Africa. And I said, but I'm going to Dakar for a conference. And then he asked me, he says, can I come? I'm like, you sort of own the company, so you can do what you like. So he's the co-founder of the company. I'm like, you can do what you like. And he's like, yes, yes. So he was excited and even more excited because he speaks French. And
Oh.
an observation he made yesterday and 2 days ago when he came in, he said, this is quite different from Lagos. Because in Lagos, from the airport, when driving down, we drive all the way to Victoria Island and it looks nice and pretty. But before I get to Victoria Island, I see shanty towns on the left and the
Yep.
right, people living on water and all of that. And I'm
Hmm.
trying to say to him, I mean, obviously, this is his experience. He goes to Lagos a lot. Yeah, because we have, business in Lagos. And he sees this every time. And obviously, he goes back to Europe and talks about it. Like, oh my God, in Nigeria. And then I try to correct him in Lagos, not the entire Nigeria. Anyway,
Yeah.
I try to correct him. And he goes, oh, this is what happens, that is what happens. Everyone looks nice and fresh in Victoria Island, but what about the people living on water, yada yada yada, in the when you're driving from the airport from Ikeja
Hmm.
down to VI and covering Third Mainland Bridge. Anyway, his observation was Dakar is different. He's not saying shanty towns, and even if he's seen a few shanty towns. He's just seen them as they're not living on water. The water is not dirty. The water here is so clean. And people actually live in brick houses. Maybe the road is on, some roads in the corners, they're untarred, there's water there, blah, blah, blah. But in this case, this is a clean city. That's what he's seeing. He's also seeing really, really nice infrastructure. He's also seeing the way people sort of behave. So for him, the first thing he said is, I'm coming back here and I'm even bringing my family for holiday. He's never said that about Nigeria. He's gone to Nigeria so many times. We've gone to Nigeria together so many times. That has never come out of his mouth. Now he's excited to go to Cape Town because I have another conference there. And I said, listen, you will see the same thing you see in Nigeria in Cape Town. The difference is the blacks live on the dirty part and the whites live on the fantastic part. And he was shocked. I said, well, I won't say more than that. When you get there, you see it yourself, because I don't think it will be fair for me to say anything, and of course there are black people that live in the nice places as well. However, this is what you will see, at least. But let's not drag that too much. What I'm trying to say is people are tired. People are looking to leave the country. When people do leave the country, they're taking a bit of, or maybe they're taking most of their culture with them, but they're going to a different society. There's a limit to how they can imbibe their culture onto their children, because the children will be going to school. You guys have kids. Your children are going to school. So it's what you teach them at home that they know, right? It's like you said, your sons, they did the ballet for an aunt that they found at, when you guys were at Notting Hill, carnival. If you did not teach them that at home, they would not do that. They wouldn't even know any better.
Absolutely.
They speak Yoruba. My niece, my brother-in-law speaks Yoruba to her. So she understands. She's only 4. So he speaks, that's all he speaks to her. He speaks Yoruba to her. Of course, myself and my sister, we sort of speak English to her. And she speaks German because she lives in Germany and she's in a German school and all of that.
Impressive.
She's in an international school. But of course, she speaks German as well. So that culture, if there's anything else that at least she will take, it's the fact that the language. So whenever she chooses to go to Nigeria, she can actually blend in. And it's really important, that language and also way of life, the Dobale beats, the Katsi, the Ikunle, as we call it. These things are very important. I feel I've spoken too much, but
no, you were making some valid points and some, what you've noticed.
I just fear that, what we are taking out, we are leaving. Right, we're living and going to the society because we have we're looking for a better conducive environment to thrive and all of that. Listen, the Chinese people, they do find that the place we're living, they find it interesting. The French, Senegal is filled up with French people, and not in Dakar, in cities or places like Sali, which I probably will be going to later today, and it just looks out of this universe. It looks like it's not. It looks like somewhere in the Caribbean, literally.
Wow.
And there's so many places in Africa that are like that. My jaw was on the floor when my friend was telling me all of this and showing me photos yesterday evening and videos. And I'm like, why am I traveling around Europe again when I can spend more time in the continent?
Absolutely. So there was you touched on a few points that I 100% agree with, and it's sad and disappointing at the same time. That journey from Muritala Mohammed Airport to your destination is one that you just look and you're thinking, why it's almost degenerated. You go to most countries, or for example, let's use London, for example. London isn't the same as it was 10 years ago.
Right.
Okay. Actually, maybe not 10. Let's say 5 years ago. I remember I drove past Stratford the other day, and I was just looking like, wait, did I get lost? Did I take the wrong turn? It has been regenerated. There's been a lot of money that's been pumped into the area, and it's completely brand new. To buy a property now in Stratford, you would need to hold a whole lot of pounds, right? Now, let's go back to Lagos, Nigeria. You come there, and sadly for me, it's degenerated. It's the opposite. It's almost like it gets worse every time, and there hasn't been any improvement. And the people who would probably drive that improvement are the ones leaving.
Right.
They're the ones getting out. They're the ones that have had enough. They're the ones that, you'll meet. They're lining up at the embassies, trying to put their papers together, trying to, I had a friend that called. I was talking to a friend, and she was trying to get a copy of her transcript.
Right.
She went to school 20 years ago, and she's like, "Babe, I need to get out of this country because if I don't get out, I feel like I will die."
Right.
And
Right.
and that's really sad, because this was someone who you would deem comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They had, both her and her partner had really good jobs. Their kids went to the private schools that they paid for.
And for her to even say such a thing, then
It was quite alarming.
Yeah, it's alarming.
It was alarming, and it was just the little things that we took for granted. The little things, how I could plan my journey and know that, yes, barring, there's sometimes that people will say to me that London is turning to a third world because of everything that's going on at the moment. We have high inflation, we've got strikes everywhere, nothing seems to be working. I landed at the airport the other day and my baggage didn't come out for like 2-3 hours.
No.
These honestly, these are not the norm here, but sadly it's the norm over there.
PJ, you forgot to add fuel queues. Like,
oh yes, thank
we're
you.
queuing for fuel. Yeah,
We queued up for fuel.
In London, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was last year,
nationwide.
wasn't it? Yeah,
It was nationwide.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And we were moaning, we were complaining. We were like, for me, I was like, what is going on? I wasn't used to that. So I was narrating my experience to Nigerian, and they're like, "Oh, my friend, will you keep quiet? This is our day to day." And I'm like, do you know what? Hats off to you people. And I feel like Nigerians are superheroes. But every day they live in that society and are still surviving and thriving. Some of them are.
That's right.
They deserve the cape. But people are tired. People, especially those who travel on a regular, and they see how it is. The only thing that I feel like I feel like I'm hoping this gets to people, gets to enough people and they hear. I feel like it's probably easy for me to say because I've been here, but there are struggles here too.
Absolutely.
Here is not the land of milk and honey. Here is not where you will pluck money, on the trees. Yes, there is a level of peace of mind that comes to be living in the West. There is a level of convenience, but there's also the other side. And the other thing I said, I was talking to a friend who we were talking about this whole migration thing. I said, I feel like the continent of Africa is missing out on the level of skill set, the level of how the Nigerians migrating to Africa rather than coming to the West.
Yeah,
because very rarely will you find a Nigerian community in the West that you won't see people doing very well. You won't see them living in the nice houses. You won't see them driving the nice cars, because there's just something that's built in us as we're raised. You just have to be the best. You strive to be the best.
Absolutely.
Your parents tell you as you're growing up, if you don't come first, the person that came first, did they have two heads?
Exactly.
You want to be that number one. And sometimes it's really difficult to be that in the West because you are seen as a second-class citizen.
Absolutely.
Yes, Britain, will give you the opportunities, but unfortunately, microaggressions still exist.
It does.
Racially motivated aggression still exists. So, in as much as you want to be that best, it's even more difficult. However, in the rest of, especially in West Africa, where everybody looks like you might not sound alike, but you look alike. That opportunity, that possibility is to be the best is there.
Totally.
So I feel like perhaps if some other African countries might be an option, like you mentioned, Senegal. I've never been, and I'm definitely going to add it to the list now. But based on what
Think I'm
you're
beginning to become
saying,
a Senegalese ambassador.
yeah, right. But based on what you're saying, I feel like, there could be opportunities there
Oh,
where,
there are opportunities there.
we could thrive.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, we
absolutely.
can't, the way Nigeria is at the moment, it is so difficult to thrive. It is
Yeah.
so difficult. It
Let
is
me, yeah.
challenging.
Yeah,
You would,
let me bring Kola in. Kola, you lived in the north, didn't you? I mean, I don't know if you've been back to Nigeria recently, or maybe you haven't been back for some time now. But of course, we know what's going on in Nigeria. We know the type of news that comes out of Nigeria. Last year, 2021, 5 million babies were born in the north. My question remains, why? Why give us 5 million babies? Why? The North is already large enough. People are not fully educated. You're not from the North. You're a Yoruba guy, but
I
at
mean,
least
I
you spent
think,
some time in the North, right? So
yeah.
what's going on? What is going
I
on?
think if we dig down to and I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because when we're talking about people are leaving now and are not, the intention is not to go back, that's made me smile a little bit, because it's funny, because that is the reflection of most people that have probably lived in the Southwest, particularly in Lagos. Now,
Yes.
basically, once your level of insecurity has gone up to a point where you feel this is not sustainable, you would leave that environment that you were comfortable in and have no intention of going back. Now, that feeling, a lot of us that have lived in other parts of Nigeria, particularly being growing up as a Christian, living in the northern part of Nigeria, schooling in the north, a lot of us had that feeling many, many years ago. So when we were leaving Nigeria, it was like, we've had enough of this. We want no more part. We don't want any parts of this anymore. So when I was leaving, and I told my then fiance, who is now my wife, like, we're not coming back here, because we have seen the hearts of men. We've seen the level of carnage. We've seen the things that people down south are only just seeing, because there was a level of comfort that existed in a lot of my family that lived down south, that, no, it will never get here. It will never reach us.
Yeah.
So it wasn't through the lens of one Nigeria. It was like, you know what, as long as we here are okay, then whatever is going on there is
Let
none
them
of our
keep it
business.
there.
Now, when the destruction and carnage is at your doorstep, then you realize that your position in society, your good job, your nice home, your private school, it doesn't matter anymore. You're not safe. That is when now your thought changes and you're like, we need to get out of here and we're never coming back. So it's now the percentage of people that share this common feeling has just magnified and grown over the years. That is why you now find this huge migration of, sort of, for lack of a better word, middle class Nigeria. Now, the danger with that now is, now you've come to the West. Some have gone to America, some have gone to Canada, some have come here to the UK, other parts of Europe. You come with that cultural feeling like, we have to dominate, because that's just what is expected. Because you still have, a lot of us still have family back home who we are supporting financially. So you come into an environment where there are other Black people that have been here for a long time. The Caribbeans have been in the UK for a long time. The Caribbeans have been in the States for a long, long time. So now you come in, and because we have the numbers and we're perhaps, I don't want to say this lightly, but the level of education and exposure is perhaps greater. As early as a kid is, as early as, say, 4 or 5 years old, you're already watching cable satellite television in Nigeria. So you're already embracing, information from, globally. So that domination, you dominate without realizing that it's sort of the other Black nations or the people from the other Black countries, like, they look at you and they're like, wait, these guys are taking over. because
they're
culturally
threatened.
it's like even when we go, like even when I go to Ghana, like I'll go to, I've had projects in Ghana where I'll be in Ghana and you hear perhaps they don't know you're Nigerian in that setting because they're like, we're sending somebody from London, so they just still look at you through the London lens. They are not looking at you as a Nigerian. But not all of them are happy about how Nigerians come into their society and dominate.
Absolutely.
So it's almost the same thing that prompted Brexit here in the UK, where people started feeling like, foreigners are coming, taking their best jobs and all of that. This kind of feelings, you don't want to throw blame around, but it's not unnatural for human beings to feel that way, because whatever benefit you are receiving now, coming in, in 2022 from Nigeria, and you can land in the UK, you can get your kids into school, you can get a job. Somebody paved the way for you to be able to do all of that.
100%.
They were building blocks. Yeah. So there were the
100%.
sacrificial lambs. And some of the sacrificial lambs did not see the benefits. So when you're coming in, you have to be mindful and be respectful, for lack of a better word, and integrate properly, and not just feel like, hey, we're here to conquer, we're here to dominate, and you plant your flag as if you had, what was our US mission on the moon? Yeah, so we just have to be careful about that. Now, sorry, I missed your initial question, which was, I think growing up in the North in Nigeria, as again, it was quite different, and for us, a lot of us, your culture, you can't fully embrace it without another person feeling, threatened in a way. So, even when in communities where some of my friends and my neighbors who are Igbo, because they used to have their Igbo meetings and all of that, it started as big events. You have all the Igbo guys in the neighborhood who come around, cars packed. Then all of a sudden, like when they started getting attacked, it now became like, oh, we have to be a bit more discreet, a bit more secretive, and gradually erosion of, that. So even the erosion starts from before you leave the country. Then there's also that stupid mentality of like, oh, speaking your local dialect is Raz. So let's not pretend as if that too is there.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but again, the responsibility is on a lot of us who have migrated to hold on to as much as possible to parts of the culture that we can, teach our children. I, for one, because I'm happy that this migration is happening, because a lot of people I went to school with, it saddens me to see them sort of wasting away. Talented people, bright, intelligent people that have a lot to offer. But, the country is not rewarding you for your natural talent.
It's sad.
So it is sad. So if you find if you can go somewhere and blossom, man, why not? As we have it now, London is the biggest, community of Nigerians outside of Nigeria.
How many Nigerians would you say are there? Like 1 million, 2 million?
I don't know I think it was about 500,000.
We'll probably have to check the census data for that. But
I don't think there's anywhere else in the world where you find as densely populated, whatever the numbers, for Nigerians outside of Nigeria. There's no, like, you get on the bus in London, everybody's speaking Yoruba, or like, my son started secondary school. His first day in school, he came back beaming ear to ear. I'm like, why are you happy? He's like, man, Daddy, everybody was speaking pidgin. He was hearing pidgin everywhere. Like, people were speaking. This is what we're seeing now.
London is truly an extension of Lagos, isn't it?
It is an extension, and we need to look to, like, if you see the Chinese everywhere, almost major cities in the world, there's a Chinatown. So these guys are able to leave their country, come to another country, put their roots down, and still retain their culture.
Exactly.
Same with the Indians. People from Pakistan. There are parts of London that you go to, you would not believe it is London. You think,
that's right.
So we need to have things like, we need to have what we don't have. We have the numbers, but we still don't have like a microeconomic, we don't have a community where we build businesses and people stay in there and we control the economy within that local environment.
Right.
So that is the parts of the migration that we still haven't cracked yet. We haven't cracked that. We are still, everybody is still like isolated, like, me, I'm doing well on my own. I'm doing well on my own. You even find some Nigerians saying, oh, if I'm coming to the UK, I don't want to stay where Nigerians stay. I want to go and, because
I've
I don't
heard
want to be
that.
associated, because
Mm.
that whole elitism, a lot of people still migrate, and with that
With that
elitism still,
mentality.
with that mentality. And you're like, until your kid comes home one day and, is telling you that they don't want to go to school anymore because, they're now ashamed of their black skin, that is when the penny will drop. That you realize you actually need the support system of your people.
Yep. Yep.
As they say in our culture, it takes a village to raise a child.
That's right.
It does.
So we should not forget that whole middle class elitism. We need to dead all of that. It might work in Nigeria because that's how the structure of the country works. Everything is based on who you know and how you're perceived, how you're looked. Well, here, man, nobody sends you. Like, Oyinbo will remind you. If you forget who you are, they will remind you.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
They will
100%.
certainly remind you. 100%. We have our greats like, the Fellas, the Wole Soyinkas, and all these guys that it was when they moved abroad, that is when the scales dropped from their eyes and they were like, whoa, okay. So this is how, like, now I am Yoruba first before I'm Nigerian and all of that. Like, that's when you go back and research, like, who am I? Who were my people? So these are the little. Sorry, I'm going on a rant, aren't I?
No, go for it.
Sorry, it's something. It's
No,
something
I
I
think you
preach.
can
So
tell that
yeah,
we're quite passionate about this. And when one starts, you just go and you just go and you just go. But no, it was very spot on. But I think one of the things that I wanted to point out was to Bimbo's initial question about 5 million babies being born in the north.
yes, I knew that was something I was forgetting.
Yeah.
So you see that one basically because obviously growing up in the north, I have a lot of friends who are who are Muslim, who are Hausa. A lot of them also who are from the north are equally Christian. Now, culturally, as a man, you are defined by your wealth status. Now, wealth can be perceived through the lens of actual physical money. And for people who don't have that, they look at wealth through the lens of children. How many children do you have? So you will find that in most communities, in most poor communities, that is when you don't have the actual means, the actual resources, the actual money. The only thing you have is kids. They will judge you. Oh, this guy has 3 sons. Oh, he's a strong man. Or he has 10 kids. Or this woman. She even though her husband is late, but she gave him 3 sons. Her value is high because she can bear male kids. Like this mentality still exists. And the fact that in society, the religion permits you to marry, more than one wife. It does caveat that you need to provide and all of that, but still, that this is just what exists. When there is no hope, there's nothing else. People will multiply. You need, if you're a farmer, you need
the hands.
You need farm hands. You can't employ farm hands. So how are you going to get people to work on your farm? You have more kids, so you have more workers.
Yep.
That you don't have to pay.
I was really interested to know the answer to this. That's why I kind of held on to the question, because I hear what Kola just said, and I think that's probably it, but I also feel like within the north there is still not enough of enlightenment, I suppose.
Yes.
I'm trying to be careful with choosing my words, and one, to not cause offense, and two, to not just talk what I'm not sure of. I feel like it's enlightenment instead of education. And like Kola said, you need the hands, you need the people. The north, the region is quite large.
It's large.
And we can't compare it to the south or southeast or or any other part of Nigeria. So they do need the numbers, they need the people. And how do they get the people? You reproduce.
That's right.
So if you look at it this way, that Lagos, being that Lagos is a port city, has helped. So most things that come into Nigeria land in Lagos first,
Mhm.
be it physical goods or be it even importation of foreign cultures. Yeah. So now,
Yep.
if you look at also when education landed on the shores of Nigeria, naturally, the Southwest got the best of it.
Yeah.
We produce books, but till date, which is one of the criticism I have, if you compare ourselves to other nations, you have, say, math textbooks that are written in French. You have math textbooks in Mandarin, in German. And so basically, if you want to teach your people something, if you really want to teach them, you need to break it down into the language that they
Into the
speak and
local
they
language.
understand.
Mm.
Yes, there are no Yoruba textbooks, but we are the shore. We're a port city, like Lagos, a port city, and through Lagos, things migrate into the spread into the southwest.
Mhm.
So you have in the north, you have alarming stats like perhaps just 16% of kids will perhaps get it, go past secondary school. Most of the girls will get like it wasn't a strange thing. Like even when I was in like maybe GS3 or SS1, you just all of a sudden new term. Oh, this girl is not coming back to school anymore.
She's going to be married off.
She's going to be married off. Then so again, because the dad had so many kids, which he was trying to show as a sign that, hey, God has blessed him, because kids are viewed to be a blessing from God. So if you have kids, it's like, this is, God has blessed me. But then when economic hardship starts to hit,
Yeah.
you
Then you
now
start
have to
like
start marrying
dashing
off
out
your
the
daughters.
children.
Yeah.
Oh my days.
So
It's
there is that. And basically, yeah, I don't. I think this is too emotional, man, because like I said, it just brings back these memories. Because you see like honestly, the brightest kids in my class were not Yoruba. So that notion that the intelligence is restricted to certain people, no, the brightest, the top three were all like, I don't want to say his name, but this guy, like, we went to the same primary school, same secondary school, same university, is the brightest mind I've ever seen in my life. From Plateau State, from just Plateau State. The brightest mind, like, and it's not just so there are people there that are talented, they are brilliant, but when there's no enabling environment for you to grow,
Absolutely.
you're just going to stagnate.
Mm.
You're going to stagnate. And again, people in the South, because we've started migrating to the shores of the UK, America a long time ago, like people go over there and like, oh, it's good over there. People will appreciate, okay, I'm coming there. And you start sending money, you get your brother a visa, he goes, next person comes back, you go. But the same cannot be said in the North. They do go to like parts of North Africa, but that's it. That's it really.
Mm.
Wow. It's this honestly, this conversation is really packed. It's yeah,
It is very
it's a
packed,
bit
and
it's emotional as well,
it
and
is. Yeah,
I think Paula was getting emotional there because it really, yeah.
it hit
And
home.
I felt you, holding back, Kola, because yeah, it does hit home, this situation. But yeah, we need to. I like us to come back to talk about a topic that is, yeah, it's really, really dicey. It's touchy. No one likes to touch it, and that's religion. And I want us to come back and talk about it on a different day, because we need to dive into, of course, our individuality, whatever religion we practice, the African spirituality situation or whatever, how that has stagnated Nigeria or any other African country. I would want to also talk about a couple of countries I've been to in Africa where their their names, their first names are English names. In fact, in some cases, first and last name are English names. And you're in
Wow.
Africa. And you're in
Wow.
Africa. Let me just tell you, Kenya and Uganda, they are these two countries that I know. I was challenging my Ugandan friend. I said, do you have any Ugandan name? She gives me an English name. And what's your sister's name, your brother's name? English name. Oh,
Wow.
okay. I already know the name for my daughter. She gives me the name. She doesn't have kids yet. She will have kids. She plans to have. And she says, "This is," I'm like, but your language, your tribe, a name? Do you have any? She said, no. So I left it.
I just want to say, Bimbo, I think next time you're touring any other African country, Kola, you have to back me up on this. I think you need to invite us so we can have these experiences with you. That way we'll be able to speak from informed places. Do you understand?
That's right. Honestly, this one
Because I'm not as traveled in Africa as as I would like to be. And I think again it's because of the challenges
yes,
of
it's quite
getting
expensive.
around,
Traveling across Africa is not easy,
It's
like
it's
expensive and
not.
challenging,
that's
yeah.
the other reason why, compared to like Europe, that there's a lot of cultural exchange between, say, France, England, or say Germany, because regular people, not just the middle class, regular people, even low income families can still travel.
Yeah.
And travel
Yeah.
breeds exposure. You get exposed to different cultures, like, oh, this is how they do this here.
Yeah.
It improves trade.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
you can't even, going from just Lagos to Cotonou is like, you have to go and call your alpha to pray for you. You have to do fasting. Like, so that's one of the reasons why,
Oh,
like,
days.
again,
And
this is
that
one
for
of the
me,
bigger reasons
that
why
is
Nigeria can't afford to fail. Like, you can't afford to fail.
it's mind blowing. Living in London, I could get a 30-40 pound flight to a sister European country.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that's not the same in Africa. And I just wonder why.
Yeah. Then we should definitely talk about this as well. Definitely.
Absolutely. So yeah,
we have
just
topics.
put it on your to-do
To-do list.
to take PJ and Kola on your next African tour. Because I would definitely love to visit Senegal. The way you speak of it, the way I've seen
Birthplace of
pictures as
jollof rice,
well.
as they say, isn't it?
Exactly.
Honestly.
How was the
And
jollof? How is the jollof there?
The jollof rice is from the Wolof tribe, so they are the
Okay.
original owners. The Senegalese Senegambia.
Oh yeah.
And so it's really rich. It's different from the way we do it. It's
Okay.
they would put a slice of lime or lemon on the side. You have what else? It just has everything. It has slices of tomatoes. What else? What else? It's made with fish. So
What
like
about
the
the
way we
taste?
use chicken and all of that, it tastes different, but it's nice. It's really
Okay.
I love it. It's really nice. And
Boy,
also they
you're
use
not
small
convincing me,
grain.
man. You're not convincing.
They
When
use
Nigerians say, it's nice, it's
they
nice,
use small grain. They use small grain rice. It's busy, literally. I'll share
Okay.
with you a photo of what I ate at lunch at the conference on Thursday. Yeah, because I went for the jollof rice option. And besides, my friend's wedding, we actually had jollof rice as well, but it was served in a massive bowl, like literally massive, massive, what you will call in Nigeria, you call calabash, literally.
Right.
Massive
Okay.
bowl, whereby about 5 of us sat down and ate it. Stunning. It was amazing. And it was filled up with all sorts. You'll find fish, you find seafood, you find all sorts in it. And I'm like, this is the jollof rice. This is the real. Yes. I'm like, wow. It's not the same as ours. Ours is
You
nice.
touched on the communal eating part.
Yeah.
And for me, it kind of, that was something else that hit home, because that's something else that growing up we used to do.
Yeah.
And as
And
you said it, it just hit home that I don't think I've actually ever eaten from the same bowl with my children. And my younger son, he won't even touch food that somebody else has eaten. And unfortunately that's one thing within our culture that just gets left behind. But
That's
like
right.
you said, it was amazing. There's something that happens when you eat with people from the same dish, from the same bowl. It just breeds comfort, it breeds happiness, it breeds joy.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, those are type of things that don't get crossed over. This whole migration thing, I read someone tweeted that, I can't quote the tweet, but the point he was trying to make is that the grandparents in Nigerian the parents are Nigerian, Canadian, or Nigerian British, for example. The children are, British or Canadian, and the generations are just getting lost as you go.
And it's sad.
And it's very sad. And it basically what they were saying was that, yes, people are moving and people are leaving, and it's great, but when for you to understand bad governance, you need to understand that people are losing their lineages, people are losing their heritages, they're losing their culture. It's disappearing. As it goes on, very rarely would you find people in the generation after us going to build homes back home.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we've realized that it makes no sense.
Yeah,
I can't imagine sending my. I've actually offered it. I offered to my son. He's like, I don't want to go. Will you go? I was like, I just want you to go to experience the culture. And he's like, yeah, no.
I'll think about it.
And that really saddened me, but it was my reality.
Yeah,
my kids have been to Nigeria. I've taken them, but I haven't. They don't really remember it that much. And this summer, my plan initially was to take them, and one of my cousins was like, "What are you talking about? Please, 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 don't go and suffer my children. Do not go. Why do you want to take them to Nigeria?" I said, "Because I want to experience. I want to go." And she basically talked me out of it.
Oh, bless.
There was the security issue. There was, the little. The other day, because I was in Nigeria last year, and because it's not something I'm used to, the electricity went off.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all of 30 seconds or a minute, but because I got PTSD.
Yeah, I know.
My heart jumped. I was like, oh my God, because unfortunately, there were times growing up in Nigeria that whenever the electricity would go off, in trying to conserve petrol, if it's over the night, we would just leave the windows open so that, cool air comes in, you're not having the generator all night and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, what that meant was we were not safe. We were not secure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And all sorts of horrendous things would happen, and so when the electricity went off, and I said, it was only for 30 seconds or even maximum a minute. I was terrified, and people around me were like, what's wrong with this one?
What's wrong with this?
I'm like, I'm and I had to just say I was okay. I wasn't okay, but I managed to calm myself down. And when I thought about that, these are not the reality of my children. They don't understand it. Although I've explained it to them that, there's power cuts just to prepare them. But for them, I can just imagine my teenager playing PlayStation in Lagos and then the light goes off. He would
He would lose it. Yeah.
He's like, wait, what just happened? I mean, it's apples and pears, but I thought about it and I was like, actually, do you know what? Yeah, no, maybe next year we'll consider it. And we didn't go.
There's so many things there's so many things that makes one take this sort of decision, so many things that just gives you that, I don't know how to put it, shock value. You don't want to go through some stupid pain. You don't want to experience it's tiring. And yes.
But kids don't traditionally listen, do they? So you're still going to find, as much as we paint these vivid images, and right now the age that PJ's kids are at and my kids are at, they might have that viewpoint, but don't be surprised 10 years down the line. They would decide themselves that they're going back.
That's right. That's another thing. They may become exploratory and they want to find out themselves.
Exactly, because one thing that gradually creeps into your mind when you live in the West as a Black person is, especially when the kids start getting to secondary school, that is when society would let them know that they are not from here.
That's right. That's right.
Society will tell you, and then you start to that's when they will start asking questions. Your parents like, okay, why did we even come here? Gone, Seth. What is why? So interestingly, like my cousin, he took his kids to Nigeria a couple of years ago, and the kids were shocked, like, wait, people have tennis courts in their houses, like people are people that look like me, like I can be in their millions, like this, in their thousands, just going about their business. So there was this sense of pride that, was filled in them when they came back.
Oh, bless
because
you.
the only images that they get reminded of back home is poverty. Like the old UNICEF. I didn't want to drop their names, but yeah, those pictures with kids with flies on your face, and every time that Africa comes up in your school, it's either they're saying, "Oh, we're donating money to some cause," or they're saying, "Oh, it's Black History Month." And under the umbrella of Black History Month, they'll say they want to only talk about the transatlantic slave trade. And I'm like, maybe that's how you people look at Black History Month, but for the rest of us, no, we are more than that.
These are things that I want us to even touch upon. And I've noted that down. This is something that actually, if there's anything that gives me the ache, this Black history, with all due respect to people that celebrate it, but it's something I want to touch up on. Of course, it's not I may want to say it's not my history, but at the same time, what is Black History Month? Is it an American thing? Is it a Western thing for people that have had to experience it because their forefathers were taken away at the time, during the slavery era and things like that. So in fact, I've written this down. I think we definitely need to talk about this. And I'm glad that you brought it up, Kate. But you know what, guys, we could be here for like 3 hours. We could be here for 3 hours or even 4 hours, because there's so much to talk about. Like, I'm picking up topics even from all the conversations that we're having. I've picked up religion. I've picked up traveling around Africa. I've now picked up Black History Month. So much, so many things that we definitely will come back to discuss. And I think we've spent over an hour already now. So
no, it's been great. It's been good. It's a topic that's obviously quite dear to us and close to us. So yeah,
absolutely. So let's come back another day to have this, to continue this conversation. And today's topic was, failed states, failed society, Nigeria being a case study. And both of you had the sentiment of it is not there yet, but it is on its way there if something is not done. But thank you so much, PJ and Kola. We have to come back. We have to continue. I'm sure the listeners will be pissed off that I've cut you off. Totally pissed off. But we have to come back. There's a lot to uncover. So thank you both. I really appreciate both of you.
It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure.
Podcast. And
thank you for having us.
Hopefully at some point we can actually do a face-to-face one. We can just go to the studio and get it done. That's what I'm looking at for the three of us, and maybe any other person that may want to join, or any other people that may want to join us in this conversation. And that would be great, really. But yeah, thank you so much, both of you. Thank you to the listeners as well. And it's a wrap. Enjoy your day or your time wherever you are, and whatever time zone it is. Thank you for joining us at the BlueSitron today. Thank you, and have a nice time. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening in to our podcast. We'd like to introduce you to our partner, TouchBase Pro, Africa's leading email marketing platform and agency, experts at helping customers make money from their email marketing.